explosive day on Capitol Hill, where disgraced former public health official Anthony Fauci was compelled to testify before the U.S. Senate thanks to a subpoena from Senator Rand Paul. But despite receiving a preemptive pardon from Joe Biden, Fauci, he refused to answer any and all questions, pleading the fifth 111 times. Take a look.
Although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions.
Do you have that in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the witness has refused to answer whether there's a folder in front of him.
Did you partner with Bill Gates on global health initiatives or vaccines?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Just apologize to the people who you harmed through your actions. Will you say, do you have the dignity to just say you're sorry?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Just a disgrace. Now, before taking the fifth over and over and over again, Fauci showed up with an army of attorneys, including one notorious criminal attorney. He actually was booted from the hearing. If you missed that, take a look.
The attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Now, this reeks of desperation. Fauci has to be concerned. 2 days before the hearing, Senator Rand Paul published Fauci's 1,000-page diary written on a government computer using government resources, documenting Fauci's time as America's top government health official. But the diary entries did not resemble the work of a diligent government official. Instead, well, these were the ramblings of a self-obsessed, fame-hungry egomaniac. For example, quote, a big front page article about me appeared in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. I'm the most famous and talked about person in the whole country. Fauci just loved to be honored, including, quote, a petition to name me, him, not me, him, the sexiest man alive. If it wasn't so serious and if it wasn't so deadly, it would be funny. It's nothing funny about what he did. Now, video games named after me and a Fauci bobblehead. Millions of people idolize me, he wrote, likely trembling with excitement, and even he detailed a video chat or some kind of chat with Julia Roberts, quote, had a wonderful Instagram discussion with Julia Roberts, and she went on to say that I was her personal hero and how happy she was to have this conversation with me. Now, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of entries where Fauci gushes about Fauci. It is weird, it is sick, and in this case, was not helpful to any American family. Of course, like any good diary, he also gossips about people he doesn't like, including yours truly, accusing me, other Fox hosts, of lying, calling us stooges, even trashing me for wanting to open up quickly and end the shutdowns after COVID was contained. Fauci also detailed a meeting that he attended with President Trump where, quote, he called up Sean Hannity to schmooze about TV ratings. I'm not kidding. But amid the constant gossip and the hundreds of pages of self-adulation, a few very damning revelations were mixed into the pages of Dr. Fauci's diary. Now, this includes real concerns about the efficacy of the COVID vaccine that they told you would prevent you from getting COVID or spreading it to others, and then other issues like social distancing concerns. Fauci never dared to mention any of this to the public. He also seemed to believe that COVID-19 was more than likely man-made in a lab in Wuhan, not created in a wet market with exotic animals, despite stating the exact opposite on television to the public. And don't forget, we have chronicled the money that the NIH sent to the EcoHealth Alliance. Remember, that was the panic texting, emails, calls that took place in early January when this broke out. That EcoHealth Alliance taking your tax dollars from the NIH, where they knew gain-of-function research was well known to take place, and coronavirus research took place. He also detailed his pressure on state and local officials to shut down the country, to keep kids out of school, to close businesses, and to wreck the lives of millions of Americans. Here's how Senator Bernie Moreno responded. Take a look.
Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country.
Total. I agree with that sentiment. Fauci answered 0 questions, despite the protection, of course, of Joe Biden's presidential pardon. Now, many in the Senate are planning to hold Fauci accountable. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.